You're damn right I am.
I'll retweet it. I tweeted
Not
the
me.
link.
I already retweeted it.
Wow.
Yeah, I couldn't be more ready. Born
It's
for
good
this.
we're live.
Oh, I was about to drop a curse, but I won't.
Just for in the pod.
What's that?
So just cursing in the pod.
Well, I
Not
don't curse
pre-pod.
anymore
No,
because
I
I'm
know,
sick of YouTube.
yeah.
Tucker's been the most effective
law down.
reining in my curses of anybody. How about that? Some bull. Sorry.
Don't really think that's a curse word. But
You got to do the curse words, Bobby.
I know.
Keep forgetting.
It really
Yeah.
won't be a YouTube pod.
No.
Yeah.
It'll be great, though. All right, you ready?
I'm ready.
Hey, hello. It is the Go Birds podcast presented by the Bet Parks Casino and Sportsbook app. Eliot Shorr-Parks, James Seltzer with you. Hey, what up, pal?
What up? How's it
How
going?
you doing? I know you had a
Glad to be back.
tumultuous.
I had a tumultuous trip.
Yeah, so we got some texts. Me and Devin actually got some texts about some airport issues, multiple planes, delays, blah blah blah.
I've already asked you this hypothetical.
Yeah,
but I feel
you
like
can ask. Yeah, no, that's why I brought it up because I wanted to bring this.
I think
to
it
the
needs
air.
presented to the audience.
Yeah.
All right. So first, I will say this: having gone through, and I very rarely go through airport issues. Like I really don't get delayed off. Or whatever.
No big deal.
No big deal. But it was funny. I was flying. So my flight was from Cincinnati to Boston, Boston to Philly. I never do layovers, but I did it this time to save the company money. Again, no big deal.
King. What a
Right,
king.
Exactly.
Did they thank you?
Did not.
Oh,
That's okay,
outrageous.
though.
I mean, that's outrageous.
But so on the way
on.
from Cincinnati,
I'm
to,
outraged right now.
I agree.
I said
Should be in my check
outraged.
on Friday.
I'm outraged.
Outraged. On the way from Cincinnati to Philly, I was thinking, I have pretty good plane luck. That's what I was thinking.
Oh, so you did this to yourself?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's your fault.
Yeah. So anyway, I'll try to summarize the story a little bit so we can get to the interesting hypothetical part. So I land from Cincinnati into Boston. My flight gets delayed like 20 minutes. I'm like, no big deal, whatever. Then it gets delayed an hour. Then it gets delayed 2 hours. And all of a sudden, from like 10:30 a.m. to 6:30.
You texted us at like 6-something p.m.
Yeah, like all
like
day.
6:15 or 6:20.
I spent trying to get on standby flights. Getting on standby flights is one
Must
of
be the
more
worst feeling there is.
It's such a helpless feeling because you're sitting there. At one point, there was a plane, and the guy goes like, "Well, there's an international flight coming in that might be late, so a bunch of people might miss this one." And in my head, I'm like, "Well, I don't want to wish these people to miss their flight,
But like, I desperately.
But at the
want them
same
to
time,
miss
I
their
really
flight.
hope these people miss their flight."
Real quick on the whole like overbooked thing. There is like
It's
when they
absurd.
make the announcements. Oh, we're overbooked. What do you mean
Yeah,
overbooked?
you guys are the ones that overbooked.
Book the amount of seats that are on the freaking plane. Like,
Well,
what is this?
So I looked it up because
it drives me crazy.
So I looked it up during the day, and apparently, on average, like 5% of people don't show up for a flight. So that's why they oversell by 4 or 5
Okay,
seats, right?
so that's the reasoning. But you
That's
know
the
what?
reasoning. But so the other thing is, and now we're just going to completely dive into this, which is how you know the Eagles are playing. We're not starting with like,
They're either really bad
Jalen
or really
stop,
good.
Nick, yeah. They are. They actually are always really bad or really good.
It's never in the middle.
But so anyway, so I'm waiting like all day for standby flights. So at 6:40, I finally am number one in line on standby. So it's me and like I would say 6 or 7 people that all day have kind of been on the same flight trying to get on. None of us have been on.
God!
But this is the key.
What did you start at? Like, how long did it take to get to 1?
Well, so I went from like 7 to 5.
That's
to
what I'm
3.
wondering. Okay.
Yeah. So I slowly moved up.
Okay.
The other thing I'll say is it's interesting how when they're oversold, they try to find people that would move flights for like $500.
Yeah, they offer.
But once they don't need those people, even though there's people on standby who have been inconvenienced, they will tell those people to get on the flight. Like there are people who have agreed to move to a different flight for a monetary value, but because they're not oversold, they just put those people on there, and the standby people have to then keep going, even though there are people on that thing that are willing to move their flight.
What?
Silly. I actually think you should be allowed to sell your flight at the gate. Like, and then both you go to the gate, and it's like, I'm giving this guy my ticket.
Sure. Yeah, it makes sense. I agree.
So anyway, all day it's me and these 7 people like deciding, like trying to get on these flights. Key detail here: none of us talked to each other all day. There was no like
fraternization.
Yeah,
you
like,
all knew you were,
which I would have been down to.
I mean,
do,
you're
but
ultimately enemies at the end of the day.
Well, okay, good phrasing.
I mean, that's what it is.
So, all right, so this final, it's the final.
I know the story.
Yeah,
okay, me too. Yeah,
I've told like everyone, which is why I have to tell the podcast. So it's the final flight out of Boston to Philly that day, 6:40 p.m. That's it. If our plane doesn't come and we don't get on this one, like I'm sleeping in Boston, right? So it's 6:40. I'm number one in line. We're waiting. They board group 1, group 2, 4, all the way up there. They go, okay, 3 of you guys can get on. I'm number 1. So me and number 2 and number 3, which is what I will call them, walked up, right? And we're about to get on. And this point we're talking. And I was saying, like, it's so absurd to me that they don't let more standby people on. Like, if you come with 2 minutes to go before your flight, you should just have to give your seat up. It's like, because the standby people are there. And the woman goes, well, that's just because you're a nice person. And I'm like, thank you. I appreciate it.
I didn't know this part.
Yeah, I didn't text you this part. And so I'm standing in the front.
Oh no.
There's 3 of us. It's me, number 1, number 2, and number 3 who are together. And at the last second, like literal last second, they were printing our boarding passes out. Someone runs up and goes like, "Oh, I'm on this flight," and they let him on. I love.
Wow. Yeah. I agree. That person missed their chance.
I think it's too late. Now, if it was me, obviously,
I would be like, "Let me on the."
Yeah, I got here in time, right? But regardless, this is not about him. It's about me. So always. So at this point, the flight attendant looks at us and goes, "Well, only 2 of you."
Oh no.
And so it's either, and keep in mind, they're a couple. So at this point, I'm like, all right, what do I do? Do I get on the plane or do I offer up my seat
to the couple
so they don't have to split up? Now, at this point, I knew that my flight from Philly to Boston that was coming to get us had taken off. Now, I don't know if when it lands, like if it's definitely going to take off, if there's more issues, if it's right. I don't know any of those things. So I got on the plane. And should I have given it up? Should I have let the couple get on?
So I'll tell what I said in the text. Now I didn't know that you're a nice person.
I know. Well, the funniest thing is when they went like, all right, only 2 you can get on. I just like walked up. I wasn't like, all right, bye. I wasn't like, oh, that sucks. Like, good luck. I was like, bye. Like, I just silently walked up.
Yeah. Well, look, it's an awful position to be put in. It's awkward.
Yeah.
I would have taken the flight. If it were me, like I would have taken the flight. Like, I'm sorry. Like, it really sucks, but like, I'm first. I waited here to be first. Like, this is my spot. Like,
I've been waiting all day.
I'm sorry.
As they have
like,
been, for what it's worth.
It sucks. Like, it sucks. But like, what else can you do?
I think it would have been an extremely nice gesture.
It would have been an over the top.
Now, and here's the issue.
You will never see these people again.
Well, what's funny is I saw the woman after the flight at the baggage.
So they split up?
They split up.
No!
The woman got on the flight. Yeah.
Oh my God.
The woman got on the flight.
Oh my God. Emily would never get on a flight.
I was thinking
vice
that
versa.
too.
Like, there is no, Emily would be like, we're staying in Boston tonight or whatever.
So
like,
that's
or
what
wait for the other plane, whatever. Like 0% chance Emily would get on.
I think this is how it should have gone if everybody acted accordingly. I look to them and go, oh, do you guys want to go? And they go, no, you get on.
Right.
I get on the plane. And then they look at each other, what should we do? And they go, well, we should stay together. And then the next 2 people, like that's
the next person, one person it would be.
No, well, you're right, one person, right? Then the next person gets to go. I think that's how it should have gone straight through. But they both got on. The other guy got on the next flight, which ended up coming back to Philly.
So it wasn't as bad as it could have.
So she ended up seeing her husband like a half hour after she left.
Oh, so it wasn't a big deal at all.
Wasn't a big deal at all, but it could have been.
I think you made the right.
I think so too.
Now I can tell you're conflicted.
Honestly, if I'm being completely transparent, it would have been nice to have a story where I told people what a nice gesture. Like, it would have been fun to be like, so again, no big deal to me, but quick story if you don't mind. Look what I did at the airport.
Yeah.
Instead, the story is I should have. It's the thought that counts.
Instead, I'm a jerk. Mm-hmm. But I got home.
I certainly thought about it. Isn't that nice of me? Yeah.
All right.
So it was a fun trip home.
That sounds like it.
Yeah.
That's an awkward spot to be put in.
I have so many thoughts for final thoughts, not all airport related, but like I got a bunch.
Oh, I can't wait.
Maybe I'll start with one of those. But anyway, I have a bunch of good.
Okay, good. I can't wait. Well, let's talk Eagles so we can get to final thoughts. The real important part of the box.
Yeah.
Where you at? How you feeling?
So,
I mean, you were in the stadium.
I was. Cincinnati, by the way. Awesome football city.
Really?
Yeah, I was very impressed. It was very,
I saw your
cool.
tweet now that I remember.
Very, very cool.
You didn't put Green Bay on your tweet.
Well, because I just think who wants to live in Green Bay? No offense to anyone.
I thought it was just the football city.
Well, but I think what I'm taking into account is like, if you're a football fan, what are the 5 cities?
Can I not offend anyone in Cincinnati by saying who wants to live in Cincinnati?
I don't disagree, but Cincinnati.
I mean, what are we talking about here?
Having been to both, Cincinnati is considerably better than Green Bay.
It's
just way more of a city.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you're not in the middle of nowhere.
It's close to top 5 though. Like,
dude, it's awesome. The stadium's on the water. Like the tailgate scene is sick. It's like they have like an underground garage that like it doesn't have like a roof, right? So like when you look down as you walk in, there's like thousands of people tailgating.
You have to live
they
in
have
Cincinnati.
No, I get that for sure.
Yeah.
But I
it's
think
like a non-starter for me.
Cincinnati's not as bad as you think. I'm just putting that out.
No, I'm sure it's not. But there's
it's
still
just
five football cities I'd rather live in.
But it's just a regular city. Like, to me, it's not like as big as Philly, but having been to downtown Cincy, it is like a regular city.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just letting you know. Maybe one of our Go Birds trips in 8 years.
We'll go to Cincy. Yeah, can't wait for that
one. So here's where I'm at with the team. And this is the best way I can describe. Because I know all week on the station, we've been doing are they back? Are they Super Bowl contenders? Like, I think the best way I can describe what the last 3 weeks have done to me is I'm a believer again. Like, I believe in the team again. Does that mean they will win the Super Bowl? I don't know. Does that mean they could win the Super Bowl? I believe they could. Does that mean Jalen will definitely be the guy for the next 5 years? I don't know. But I feel way better about Jalen than I did 3 weeks ago. I feel way better about the team than I did 3 weeks ago. And I think that what's been most impressive to me is I see this so often in sports, but especially in Philly sports. When the momentum starts to roll downhill against you, it is so hard to get that ball rolling back up the hill. And me and you talked about this probably after the Browns game, but it was at a point with this team of Nick as the head of it and this team where it was just broken. And maybe they would still make the playoffs. Maybe they'd finish 9-8, but it didn't feel like it was going to get fixed. I think the past 3 weeks culminated with the win in Cincinnati, fixed it. Maybe they won't win the Super Bowl, but I don't feel anymore like it's broken. I think they have done something very impressive, which is they have gotten the ball rolling the other way. And I didn't think they would be able to do it. So that's where I'm at with it. I think they're going to beat the Jaguars. Newsflash. We'll just spoil that one.
Mm-hmm.
But if they don't, I'm not going to sit here and be like, well, this is what, this was last year. I think if they lose to Jaguars, it'll just be because they play a bad game. Now, look, if they lose 4 in a row, clearly I'll change my mind, obviously. But I am at a point where, so I actually thought about this. In the first 4 games, I picked them to lose 3 of them.
Mm-hmm.
Picked them to lose to the Packers. I picked them to lose to the Saints, and I picked them to lose to the Bucks. I'm going to pick them to beat the Jaguars. I'm going to pick them to beat Washington. I'll probably pick.
Well, not Dallas, you said.
I'm not going to pick them to beat Dallas.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
But that's more of a stadium thing than it is. They're a better team than Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just back to believing that this team is what I thought they were before, which is a team that has a ton of talent, with a great coach, with a great quarterback, that is one of the best teams in the NFC. That's where I'm at with it.
Yeah, I'm mostly where you are. I definitely think they're one of the best teams in the NFC. I think
I think they are definitely 2 or 3. I think it's Lions.
Well, it's Lions by themselves.
Yes,
without
a
a doubt.
We can debate how big the gap is, but a gap. And then I think it's either Eagles or Washington.
Well, I think Green Bay has to be put in there as well.
I just think because Eagles beat Green Bay, it's hard to put them.
They beat them by 4 points on a slick field in the first game of the season.
I think Green Bay is good. I just think the Eagles are better.
They might be. I don't know that the Eagles are better than Green Bay. If Jordan Love's healthy, I don't know that. I think the Eagles should be considered in. Again, they won. They have not beaten a team with a winning record since week 1. Or I guess that's true. They have not beaten a team with a winning record since week 1.
No, they beat the Saints. They were
2-0.
No, I know.
I'm
okay,
talking about
you're talking about
right
the time
now.
of the play.
You look at all the records of the teams they've faced.
Right.
It's a lot of bad records. It's a 2-6 Giants. It's 2-6 Browns. It's the 3-5 Bengals. You know what I mean?
I think that's I think
it's a little unfair. But all I'm saying is that, and look, they beat the crap out of the Bengals. It wasn't like they just went in there and won.
And the Bengals are good.
The Bengals are. I think the Bengals are average. Is what I think they are. I think they're a 9-8 type of football team. You know what I mean?
I don't know, man. I mean, the Bengals.
They're 3-5.
No, I get that, but I don't think beating the
lost
Bengals
to the Patriots.
Right.
I mean,
I don't think there's.
Again, I think
fine. Average is fine. Burrow's so good, it's hard for me to overlook that.
I think it's a fine win, and the fact that they beat them by 20 points makes it a good win.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
It's a great one.
But I can't. I'm not ready to say they're all the way back. I think they're getting back, and I'm with you. I think that by the end of the season, we will look at them as one of the 2 or 3 top NFC Super Bowl contenders. I think that them being at the top of the NFC right now is more the result of the NFC just sucking.
Well, let me ask you this.
The Lions, I think, are the only great team in the NFC.
I agree with that.
The NFC.
The Lions are awesome. They are a class above everybody else, for sure. So let me ask you this, though. What do you think is holding you back from being all the way in? Because I can speak for me, where I think what's allowed me to go all the way.
I just need to see more weeks.
Well, hold on. Let me.
That's it.
But I think what's allowed me to be back in is I have moved on from last year.
I'm good on that.
Okay, so
Again,
it's more current issues than it is.
No, it's just seeing it for more than 3 weeks in a row. Let's not forget 2 weeks ago, after a win, we were talking about firing the head coach, not you,
right?
But this fan base.
Right.
2 weeks ago, this fan base was like, this is an average team at best. Most people thought they were below average. They had barely beaten the Browns with Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
So all I'm saying is that things can change very quickly in the NFL. I need to see a little bit more from this team before I'm saying Super Bowl. That's all I'm saying. Do you understand? I mean, that's fair.
No, I do think that's fair, but I wonder how much of that is holding on to the collapse and stuff, because I think there's a real world where, look, I am king of riding the roller coaster. So I definitely feel you.
You are the all-time.
I know. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Like 100%. But I also think if we can both take a step back and like remove emotions from after each game, because you're right. After the Browns game, it was anger like I've never seen towards someone in Philly like it was for Nick. And like, this thing's over, it's broken. And look, I was feeling that way too, right? But I think if you take a step back and now look at the 7 games they have played, I think you can build an argument that it's been like a very encouraging 7 games.
Of course it has.
Yeah.
Again, I think they're one of the best teams in the NFC right now. I'm saying I'm just not. You are like they are locked in.
It would surprise me if they collapse again. Put it that way.
I'm not saying they necessarily collapse. I'm saying I need to see them play at a high. They played at a high level for 1 game, really, like against a average team. 1 game. They've had 1 great football game. Now the Giants game was a really good performance. The Giants, as you pointed out, one of the worst teams in football, legitimate. Like, yeah. So they've had 1 great win. Like, if you want to say the Packers win, that's fine. But
the Saints win.
The start of the season. Yeah, but the Saints are the worst team in football.
Right, but
now.
I think you have to look at the situation of when they played.
I think you barely won that football game.
Agreed,
it could have gone
but
either
I think
way.
It's still a good win.
It's a fine win. My point is that I am excited about the Eagles.
Yeah.
Like, I think they are a really good football team, and I think they're building. My point is they are building right now. They're not there yet. That's what I'm trying to say. They are still building to where I think they can and will get to. I do think they'll get there, but I think we're premature to say they're there yet.
So where I was thinking about this outside the stadium as I was walking back to the hotel, like, I think what Sunday gave them, so they've had talent, obviously. 2022 roster, extremely talented. 2023 roster, very talented. Like, obviously collapsed and there were holes, but that was a talented roster, right? Like, going into the year. This year, talented. So they've had talent through all the different iterations of this team. The one that's like played outstanding, to the one that collapsed, to the one that, like, I think what they haven't had in a really long time is momentum. Like, even when they were 10-1, I don't think they had momentum. Like, we could look at them, and I was part of it, saying, hey, like, it's good to win close games, winners win, like all these things. But they didn't have momentum where it felt like week to week they were building. Mm-hmm. So when you say like they're building and they're going up, I think that is a really good way to put it. And it's kind of what I was trying to say with finally the ball feels like it's rolling up the hill, right? And not, now I know that's the opposite of momentum. Yeah. But you get
finally
what I mean.
The ball is rolling
they have stopped
the
roll from roll. They have stopped the ball from rolling in a negative.
I think it's easier to say they've been going uphill and now they're finally going downhill. Even though it doesn't.
Yeah, apply. Right. It's my mind can't do it. But
if we're going to use the boulder analogy,
right.
Yeah.
But what I think Sunday gave them was momentum, and they just haven't had that for so long. Even during the 10-1 stretch to start 2023, they didn't have it. Like, I'm sure it came across on TV because we did a post-game pod, and I could hear the excitement in your voice, and I can tell people are really excited. But just being in that stadium and being in the locker room and being around this team over the past really 3 weeks, it just really feels like they're finally building something, and it hasn't felt that way for so long. So, I feel like from the bye week to the Browns game, they got better. From the Browns week to the Giants week, they got better. From the Giants week to the Bengals game, they got better. And I've been thinking like maybe this is like an old Big J take of mine, but I think I'm at a point with this team where I just want to see them get better every week. That's it. Like, they could lose games where they still play better. That was my whole acceptable lossing against the Bengals. Now the Jaguars, that would be a bad loss, right? Like that would
not be acceptable.
That would not be acceptable loss, right? This would be a step back. But I just feel like they finally have momentum. It's so hard for me not to feel like the talent's there. Like, the issue with this team was really never talent. The issue was it wasn't clicking, or like it wasn't all pieced together. Whereas if like, so let's talk about the Lions and the Packers. I personally think they're more talented than the Packers. Just my opinion, but we could debate it. I think the Lions and the Eagles have comparable talent, especially now with Aiden Hutchinson out. The difference is the Lions have been like an unstoppable force of momentum for, like they've like,
also been a better coach.
Yeah. Well, they just have been a better team. Mm-hmm. Right. But the talent, I don't think
they were better last year.
Yeah, for sure. But I think the difference is the talent is not as big as the gap as how we view them.
I agree with that, but I also don't think it matters that much. I mean, we've learned that talent is not the be all.
But that's what I'm saying. That now I think the Eagles are trending towards like having the momentum we saw in 2022. And that's what's encouraging to me, because it's not like in 2016, when the team started 3-1 or 3-0, whatever it was,
3-0.
we could look at that team and go, hey, you're 3-0. Like, maybe you'll make the playoffs. But I don't think anyone sat there and went like, wow, they're one of the best teams in the NFL. Like, we knew they didn't have the talent. The difference with this Eagles team is, in terms of jumping back in, the talent is there to believe in. It's mostly just, can they put it together a bunch? And now, so when they're starting to put it together, like, that's the encouraging part.
No, I think, again, encouraging is the word. Like, I am super, super encouraged by what I've seen from this team the last 2 weeks, particularly. I know it's more the last 3 weeks, but I'm
for me,
incredibly encouraged. And I think that people should be excited about this team. I think they can absolutely win the Super Bowl this year. I just am I'm not, it wouldn't surprise me, it seems, as much as you, if they lost 2 of 3, or if they didn't play up to the level they played in Cincinnati every single week. Like if they say, in your mind, they've set a standard and they're going to play that way. Right.
Well, yeah, it's more to, I guess, like, I'm not jumping ship. Right. Like,
I need, that's really what it is. I need to see them be consistent.
Yeah.
I need to see this team. And like, to your point about last year, I'm not saying like, if they lose to them, like, oh, collapse, like, it's in my head that way. But I do think that we do have to acknowledge that last year happened.
For sure.
And that these guys were the are part of it.
Yeah.
Like, so, so I think I'm incredibly encouraged. I think things are heading in a great direction, but like, I need to see them keep it up. Like, I need to see them handle the Jaguars. Like, I want to see them not take this team lightly, not let a Jaguars team come in here that they should stop. Like, the Jaguars are coming in without both the receivers. They just traded their left tackle. Like, they are a cooked football team for this.
They have like 3 players that are good.
Like, you have to handle business this week, because you got Dallas and Washington coming up. And then I think that's where, if they can really handle business this next 3 weeks, then it's a whole different discussion.
Yeah. So for me, obviously, you have to beat the Jaguars. If you lose the Jaguars, clearly
the whole thing,
it's a bad luck. Yeah. Well, so I don't think
it's not the end of the season, but I think from the confidence, from where
people
we all
feel, well, what's surprising to me is a lot of the polls on WIP, the Twitter polls that are like, are you back? Are they Super Bowl contenders?
Are
very 50-50. Like, people have not jumped in.
So it's hit or miss. It depends on what you ask with those polls. Like, today we asked, do you think the Eagles win a playoff game? 75% said yes.
Right.
So that's like,
that's a step in the right direction.
75% think they're getting to at least the second round of the playoffs.
Yeah.
Like, that's not that far away. If you can get to the second round of the playoffs, you can win the freaking Super Bowl, for the most part.
Or maybe they'll get a bye.
Like, Jalen Hurts, is he a franchise long-term answer as a franchise quarterback? And like, people got ratioed for it. People like, how can you ask this question?
Right.
But still, it was
you're right.
It's only like 70% who said yes, though. Like, there's still 30%.
No, I thought that was such a perfect example of Twitter, where it's like, literally 1 out of every 4 people, if you line people up, would say no.
Yeah.
But then the people are acting like it's like,
it's
an abomination even ask.
It was so crazy to me. It was like, again, look at the votes. Like, usually when you get ratio, it's like 93 to 7.
It was like,
how could you ask this dumb
25.
question? Everyone knows it's dumb. Well, I guess everyone didn't think it was that dumb, because there are a lot of people voting no. And I think that it's still, and look, I think it's still fair to ask those questions. I'm super encouraged over the last couple of weeks. My point, and I, again, I am really encouraged. I don't want it to sound like I'm down on the team, because I'm not. I just am pushing back on the idea that they're fully there.
No, I get it. And this is why I bring up last year, because I just do think there is definitely some emotional hedging with this team. And to be fair, they have earned the people emotionally hedging against them. Like, what they did last year, like I get all that. I do have a quick Jalen thought before, because we're going to do trades.
We're going to do trades soon. Yep.
I think Jalen is closer to being the best version of Jalen we've ever seen than maybe people want to acknowledge. And me and you talked about this last week on the Go Birds radio show. Like, the turnovers are definitely a problem, and he's not been great at, like, with the passing game. Like, I get all that. But if he's not turning the ball over, and he's making all the pre-snap reads, and he's making some special plays with his legs, which I think he's doing more than he did last year.
He's making no doubt he is.
Right. Like, he is closer to being a more complete quarterback to believe in than I think he probably was in 2022. You see what I'm saying? Like,
this is for the future.
Yeah, like, he has to improve.
Like, he's not as good as he was in 2022.
Agreed.
But I agree with you.
He's closer.
I think the fact that, here's the thing. Like, first and foremost, he's showing improvement, right? He is getting better, which is something you always want to see with them. And he's getting better with more on his plate than he's ever had before. He is calling out the protections, which he's never had to do before. He's got all that on his plate. Then on top of that, like, on top of a new offense, in addition to that, but then we're seeing, as the season's going on, he's under center more. He's throwing over the center. He's threw over the middle of the field last game. Like, point being that, like, it seems like he's working on. They are working on these things, I'm with you. Like I'm more bullish about Jalen now and the future for Jalen than I've been about any part of the team all season.
Yeah. So I'll say, like, I know for a fact that in the building, they are very happy with Jalen pre-snap. Like the reads he's making.
I mean, it's clear. Like,
Yeah,
look, we talked about the blitz thing all year. Like, has there been a single
Right.
moment all season where like, oh, the blitz killed them?
Right.
No.
And even some of the protections I think that have broken down have not been because of what
No,
Jalen.
yeah.
It's like people
It's like
missing
Fred
blocks
Johnson getting
and-
beat. or
Exactly. So, right. Like, look, I'm not sitting here and going Jalen's better than he was in 2022, but I think there is more reason than
to be excited about the future.
right.
It's a great, I think it's a nuanced thing,
Yeah.
but I think it's right. And look, one other thing that it gets brought up in the discussion, but I don't think is talked about enough in terms of how Jalen has played this year. Like, it is a bad year for quarterbacks. Like, if you look at the way the NFL has played this year, like outside of Josh Allen, Jared Goff, Jaden Daniels, maybe a couple others, like quarterbacks have been bad this year.
Well, what's funny is every week I'll look up like stats on the opposing team, and I'll look up like Trevor Lawrence stats, and every time I do it, Jalen is in like the top 10 or 11.
Yeah,
like
like
point. Rankings, on target
that's
throws.
I think that we watch Jalen, and I've said this a million times, and it's true. We get very myopic watching the Eagles every single week, and we pay attention to things, but we're not watching every Raiders game, every Commanders game, everything. We're watching what we can. We're watching Red Zone. We're catching it what we can.
Right.
Like, Jalen, I think, compared to the rest of the league, has been a lot better than I think you would think he is if you just. I'm talking this year.
Yeah.
Last few weeks, especially.
Right.
But yeah, particularly since he's gotten rolling.
Correct. Like the totality of his play.
Right.
Yeah.
I think it's a lot better compared to the rest of the league than people realize.
Yeah. Well, again, now he's not turning the ball over. And let me say this before we switch topics. I am monitoring a stat with Jalen Hurts.
Ooh.
That let me just say something. If you took the training camp stat victory lap, get ready to eat. Everyone,
Eliot Shorr-Parks Armageddon coming.
Wanted to tweet like, oh, like how many training camp stats did you have? Who cares? But just get ready. We're close. I'm not jinxing it, but just get ready.
Okay.
It could probably be this week or maybe.
I have a guess for what it is, but I won't say it on the air.
Just get ready.
Okay.
All right. All your little victory laps.
In fact, while you're talking soon, at some point, I'm going to text Tucker what my guess is, so it's on the record.
We'll just put it in the Go Birds chat.
Okay, so you want to see what?
And I just won't say anything.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I'll do that in a sec.
Just get ready is all I'm saying.
Okay, get ready. Speaking of get ready for some trade talk, because the trade deadline is a week away.
Big Tuesday coming up.
Yeah, less than a week away. 9 days or 6 days away. That is less.
Yes.
Upside down 9. That's what I meant. But first, Mike Quick, Seth Joyner, Jody Mack, Mark Zoomoff. By the way, can we shout out Zoom in addition?
I mean, easily a top. I mean, he's a Mount Rushmore Sixers like media guy.
I love a wonderful person, great guy.
Great guy. Yeah.
And part of our
Temple
team.
guy.
How about that? Temple proud, along with Rob Ellis, Joe Conklin, Tucker Bagley, a Temple guy. But
really is Al's everywhere.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. And what a list. Us, along with these guys, we're the BetParks line of BetParks, the official sportsbook and online casino of the Go Birds pod. It's the only one that we use, the only one we recommend, the only one we care about. It's the best one there is. So much to bet on. You can bet the Birds. You bet more than the score. You bet player touchdowns, rushing yards, passing yards, sacks, interceptions, so much more. Philly hoops. Elliot, you excited to bet Philly hoops right now?
No. You know what's so disappointing to me? Can I say really quickly?
That you finally have to admit that Jokic over Embiid?
No.
Is that yeah? I mean,
I'm not.
It's like an inarguable thing at this
point.
But
here's my
Jokic just put up what do you have like?
No, I'm not conceding. Like I know. So
30, 18, and 16 the other night.
But like,
you know what else he's doing? You know what else he's doing?
Playing.
Yeah, he's playing.
So my least favorite take in all of Philly sports over the past however many years is like wake me up in the second round.
Yeah.
I just can't blame people anymore.
Yeah.
Like the way they've handled this, like it's
a disgrace.
It's terrible.
It's a disgrace.
And like it's like why would I feel invested?
Exactly. They're patronizing their fans.
Yeah, I think it's terrible. Like it's just very, very disappointing. Which is a shame because I do think they make a lot of good decisions as a franchise and then they ruin it with like dumb.
So here's what I'll say. Bet against Philly hoops.
Honestly,
there you go.
Toby revenge.
There you go. I give it a hockey. Oh, little win we got last night with that.
I've always said the Flyers are the best run team.
We know this. Yeah. We know this. And of course, still a little time to bet on the baseball series happening right now. A little bit more time. Join us. In addition, listen to this. In addition to betting on all your sports, this is what makes the BetParks online casino sports app so special. You've got all kinds of casino games right in your hand. Yes, Baccarat, along with live dealer blackjack, craps, roulette, so much more. You can bet on all your favorite sports, enjoy all the action and excitement. For a casino right at your fingertips at the same time. Do it while you're watching. Download the BetParks online casino and sportsbook app right now and listen to this. Get up to $1,000. Yes, $1,000 in casino bonus back if you're down in the first 24 hours. Casino bonus must be wagered. See betparks.com for the details. You must be 21 in PA, New Jersey, Michigan, Maryland, Ohio. Gambling problem going in.
James.
Elliot.
Did you know October is the best time to buy new windows?
I did not, but you know what? I'm really happy to hear that.
I'm disappointed you didn't know because I literally told you last week.
Yeah, that's
you
true.
have a good
I'm
memory.
trying to play along here.
I know you are, but you know.
I did know that. I've heard it multiple times.
Right.
On the
like
radio,
October is the best time to buy new windows. But I'll tell you what's not a bad month to do it either.
Let me say.
November.
That's right. Because October, you got to hurry.
By the way, birthday coming up.
Yeah, a couple days. The 2nd, right?
Saturday.
Yeah.
Wow, good memory by you. We'll be
I got that memory.
Yeah, there you go.
Don't come at me with that.
We'll be doing a Go Bird show.
Oh,
I know.
So fun.
Yeah.
I'm actually legitimate.
That's how we know they're back. We get a Go Birds birthday show. Wait, when's the last time your birthday fell? Did we ever do it? I feel like we
did.
Was it 2022?
It was 3 years ago. Yeah, 2020 or 2 years ago would have been.
Yeah,
the leap year.
So the last time we did Go Birds, we'll have to look it up.
Because 2023 was a Monday. So no, I think it was 2021. Because I know it was a Monday last year because it was the Bucks Eagles game, 25-11 game.
All right, so here's my next way to spin this.
Okay.
I feel like because your birthday is like end of September, right? So
September 25th.
Did that show start the turnaround? No, they would have been.
They would, yeah.
Whatever. Still exciting.
I like where you're trying to go.
Yeah, I'm trying to make it about us.
You're doing great.
It's not working. But you know who it's always about? It's always about Window Nation. It was and with nicer weather here. It's a great time to replace those old, inefficient windows with energy-efficient ones from Window Nation before the cold weather hits. I trust Window Nation in my home, and so should you. And let me tell you, Kristen put the heat on yesterday. I'm not thrilled about it, but because our windows are so freaking good, it's like a sauna up in our bedroom on the 3rd floor. And she's like, well, it's cold during the day. I'm like, well, it's not during the day anymore. Now it's nighttime. But she wouldn't let me open the window. And in October, they're giving you great value. So hurry up. I'm sure they'll have great deals in November too, though, to be fair. But hurry up. Buy 2 windows and get 2 free. There is no limit to how many you could save. Plus, you could save big with no interest or payments for 24 months. By the way, I think Tuck already knows what it is. As I see you nod your head.
Tucker, I just sent the guess.
Yeah.
Well, you did that little part.
I do know what it is.
Yeah.
You told me yesterday.
Yeah, I told Tucker yesterday.
Oh, he knows what it is?
Yeah.
Tucker does.
Yeah. All right. Window Nation's.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
You're just putting it out there, huh?
Yeah. Just not publicly.
Okay.
Window Nation's windows come with a lifetime warranty, and they can be installed in 1 day or less. That would be really nice. I feel like when you get work done on your house and it takes multiple days, it freaking blows. Window Nation also was recently ranked highest on Forbes' list of best window installation companies, so you can trust Window Nation for high-quality, affordable windows. Stop paying more than you have to. Hurry up. The sale ends October 31st, which is literally tomorrow, I'm pretty sure. Yes, today's the 30th. So schedule a fast in-home estimate right now at 866-90Nation or visit windownation.com.
Tell me sent you. I like that.
Yeah, little Joe Conklin.
That was good work. I got it right, by the way.
Yeah, I knew you would.
I nailed it. I'm so good. So good. You reading it now?
Oh, no, this isn't right.
Oh!
This isn't right.
Oh, is it close? Is it the right concept?
Honestly, it's a similar concept, but it's not. It's more impressive.
Oh, wow.
It's like 80%, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But
I can take 80%.
But the point of it is different.
Okay, I had the right
Tucker's
concept, though.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll tell you after.
I feel pretty good about myself.
Yeah.
All right. Trade deadline.
Crazy.
It's like here, all of a sudden. All right. So I want to ask you some questions about the deadline. First and foremost, point blank. First, just yes or no. Do you think Howie will make a meaningful trade by next Tuesday?
No.
Ooh, okay. So
now,
my second question.
Obviously.
So my second question leads into my first. Do you think the fact that he already traded for John Dotson, already gave him a 3rd round pick, that trade has not gone well, will make him a little less likely to make another move?
No.
Oh,
I mean, he's made trade deadlines every year and they never work out.
Right, but he that's true. That's a good point. But he did already give away.
He did
draft value.
So, and I'm sure when they don't make a trade, they will highlight that they
acquired. Oh, we already got Dotson.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, really? What a great trade that's been.
So here's my thought on a meaningful trade. I think you're too harsh on Jahan.
Well, he's irrelevant. He's not on the Eagles as far as
I agree.
How many catches did you have last game? How many?
No, look.
How many?
No, not good.
0. Zip.
Right, 0.
Zippity doo-dah.
The point I'm making is I think that it's more about they overvalue. Well, whatever. We don't have to do this. We could actually.
Oh, you're
like,
saying
I think
don't
it was
blame
smart
Jahan Dotson?
Yeah.
That's fine. I'm not
Although he was disappointing.
I'm blaming the Eagles.
Yeah, they overpaid. But then
I'm
again,
blaming Howie Roseman. Like, this is a bad trade.
But I also really thought they should trade for a top tier backup.
Look, I was wrong.
Yeah.
I thought it was a good trade in the moment. It's clearly a bad trade. Like, unless he picks it up like times a million.
Yeah,
like,
I don't think it's definitive yet.
I
I'll
guess
just say
there's
that.
still
it's
some
a bad
season
start. Well, also
it's
he's under
horrible.
contract.
He's got
Yeah,
like
for
4
sure.
catches.
For sure. For
It's
sure.
not a hard. It's an all-time disaster.
No. I think you're being strong there.
What,
I mean, he's not a number
he
one
has
or
been
two
irrelevant.
receiver.
He hasn't
Right,
been on the
but
field.
even
Practice.
if
I
he
mean,
was
he's been on the field.
playing,
He's not even playing.
even if he was playing his best possible version, what's he getting? 2 catches a game? 1 catch a game? And I know he's getting 0, so clearly, but
I mean, you trade a 3rd-round
Look,
pick for him. You
I
should be
wouldn't
getting
do the trade
4 or
again.
5
I agree.
catches a game is what he should be getting.
But he was never going to get that. Well, what was really
because they run the football now, but originally the idea was they were going to throw the
well,
ball.
what really is disappointing is when AJ and Devontae were out, he didn't like.
Of
have a
course,
game.
that
that
was
was the
massively
disappointing
yeah,
thing.
the
Yeah.
whole
It's
thing-
not that
It's a disaster. There's no spinning it any other way. It's a disaster.
I just think disaster.
So
is
far,
strong.
it could. They gave up a 3rd-round pick for if he stays on pace.
Right?
They give up a pick for like 16 catches.
No,
would you say that's a good trade?
No, I would
I
not.
agree. There's still season left
Yeah,
to be
yeah,
played,
yeah.
but right now it's a disaster.
Right.
The results that we have gotten so far,
all right.
and if
it's a
they
disaster.
figure out over the rest of the season, if it is similar to this, you have to agree it's a disaster trade if it plays out this way.
Yes, if it
Okay.
continues to play out.
Yes,
this way.
that's all I'm saying.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. What I was gonna say though is here's my thing about making a trade. So where if they make a trade, are they pulling someone off the field? Like so.
Defensive line.
Okay, so let's talk about that. Because we all agree they're obviously not going to bench anyone in the secondary. They're not going to bench any of the linebackers. They're not going to bench anyone on offense.
Mm-hmm.
So defensive line is definitely where, if let's say they traded for a Myles Garrett.
Yeah.
Right. Now, obviously, you would trade for Myles Garrett
Because again, I think that you can trade for a defensive lineman, and it doesn't. You don't have to bench anybody. Like everyone's going to play anyway. Like
but
you know,
what's
what I mean?
interesting to me is, and I'm
Like
curious,
by the way, Bryce Huff snaps going down again.
yeah. So like
he's been bad.
You could take snaps from him.
Ah, what a loser!
You could take.
Move, a move.
Right. I know.
I'm not saying he's a loser of a human.
Right.
He's actually quite successful. You know.
Yeah, he's doing very well.
He did well for himself.
Yeah.
I'm saying what a loser move that's been.
It's not worked out.
Yeah.
But I wonder, and I'm curious for your perspective. Like, Nolan Smith has played better every single week.
Yes.
Josh Sweat is, while the production is not there, like
he's been okay.
the stats will show you that
He's been fine.
Yeah, like he's not bench worthy.
Yeah.
Brandon Graham, you could argue like
Yeah, Huff's the only one who's bench worthy. Right now.
well,
Today.
so like maybe you can find 15 snaps on the defensive line. You take
Well, I
like
think-
5 or 6
My
from
point is, you just take 2 from each of them, 3 from each of them, but then you take more from Huff.
yeah. But I don't know if that would be considered like so. If you look at some of the options, I don't think they're going to trade for Myles Garrett.
No, but if you trade for Myles Garrett, he's on the field.
Yeah, Myles
100%
Garrett,
time.
he just doesn't
Yeah,
matter. You
yeah.
just
90.
honestly, you probably try to trade like somebody.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like Myles Garrett, would you give up 2 first-round picks for him?
Yeah, we talked about this last time. Yes, I would.
You would do 2?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I would.
I think last time I was a little unsure. I was like a 1 and a 2. I would do 2 first-round picks for Myles Garrett. I'm trying. This
Yeah.
team is ready to win the Super Bowl,
and you get 3 years of him ideally
especially
barring
because,
injury.
like, and we've talked about, it, but like, I think the defense is real.
I do too.
Yeah, like I'm not saying.
You wanna know why though? I think the back 4 is legit.
Of course, I
Chauncey's
think we
played better.
all
I'll
know
give
that.
him
I think
credit.
that's all
And
why.
5 if you include
Back
Cooper,
5, you include
obviously.
Cooper.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, Quignon's their best defensive player right now, today. I mean, him or Slay, and I think it's probably him. I mean, Jalen Carter,
yeah, that's
talent-wise,
probably
is.
no. You're right.
But I'm talking about in terms of this season.
Well, Quinion first-round pick too.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
season, who has been their best defensive player through 7 games? It's been Quinion Mitchell.
Yeah,
I
no,
mean,
Quinion is
I mean,
unbelievable.
It is.
I mean, Cooper's too. Like
Cooper's
they're
been
just
great. He just doesn't play as many games.
yeah.
But so point being that I believe in this defense, at least to a certain level. Like, I don't think they're one of the best defensive football. I don't think they can. I don't think their ceiling is as high as other
Right.
defenses because of the pass rush. But that's the point. Like, I think if you get Myles Garrett, like, sure they could be a top 5.
Yeah,
defense.
I agree.
They could.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's that. I don't think an NFL team has ever one player away in reality. Like, there's just so many moving pieces and all that.
But Myles Garrett's pretty
It
close.
feels like
Yeah.
you could say they are Myles Garrett away.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
And-
Especially because you're going to, Detroit's going to be in on any edge rushers that get traded, and you're beating Detroit to that.
Right. And like, I know, look, people accuse me of this, but like, whenever there's a good player, it's like, well, of course you would trade for him. It's like, yeah, man. If there's a good player available, like, I would trade for that
Myles
guy.
Garrett also.
But Myles Garrett's a class
it's
above
a
what we
unique
normally
player to
talk
be
about.
available. And again,
Right.
if I had to bet, I'd bet he doesn't get traded.
I
'cause
agree.
he's such a unique.
Although I do think
football
the
player.
Browns should trade.
Oh, yeah. I
If
mean,
you can get 2 first-round picks, you don't have a quarterback.
yeah, you have a quarterback. That's the problem. But like, again, like, what is he, 27 or 28?
So I think he'll be turning 29 at the end of the
29.
season.
Okay. So, I mean, like, when you have a guy that age who's this good.
No, I get it's
like,
it's
they
a
just don't
painful
leave.
it's a
Yeah.
painful pill to swallow, but I'm saying like the difference with 2 first-round
The
picks
thing is,
could
with
be
Eagles first round picks, it's you're assuming they're end of the round picks.
true, but you
You
also
also
like
should have one of the top picks yourself.
yeah, like if
and
they're
package
picking
them together.
6 and they want to get to 3 to get a
Yeah,
quarterback,
no,
like
no,
those
yeah.
picks are really valuable.
They are.
So
I agree.
I would trade them if I were him. I don't think they will trade him.
I don't think he'll get
But
traded.
if he is traded, I think Howie will be in on it.
Of course.
They're young
Yeah.
everywhere.
I just
everywhere.
don't. I just could see the
Other than
Lions
Lane,
saying,
and
"Take
Lane's
whatever
like
you
a
want."
different beast to try to replace.
Right.
So like I would definitely do that. I think they'll probably trade for like an edge
Another
rusher.
Robert Quinn type deal.
Yeah,
I'm not
Robert
saying it'll
Quinn
be
was
that
old.
bad.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that type.
I think
of
that's
trade.
what they're gonna do.
Like Josh Uche to the Chiefs, like that type of trade.
Yeah, I think he's pretty good.
I was surprised they weren't.
Yeah,
It was a
and they-
6th-round pick. I was like, go get that guy.
Yeah, which is maybe an indication they're not going to do it.
Wait, I was really that was the reason I brought him up is because that one surprised me. Like that felt
Yeah.
like a move where it feels like the market has been pretty soft. Period. Like
Agreed.
pretty
Well,
much
the Cam Robinson, by the way, for the Jaguars,
Yeah.
just got traded for a 6th,
6,
and they got a 7th back. It was
it's
something
crazy
like that.
to me.
Yeah.
I like, which makes you think like again, it makes the Dotson trade look that much worse. That if Howie had just waited for the market to
Yeah.
play out, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is
I'll
a
also
shame.
say, because I was thinking about like what other positions, Fred Johnson played well against the Bengals.
He did.
Like, give him credit. And look, he was really bad the first 2 weeks, but something to be said for the fact that like he's now gotten more time under his
Yeah,
belt and he is
reps.
improving instead
Reps.
of So maybe you don't need to trade for a backup offensive lineman. I just don't think there's anything they have to trade for. I still don't believe in the front four. Like I just flat out don't think they are an off defensive line that'll get consistent pressure for 3 or 4 straight playoff games. So I do think you could still make a
Especially
move
because
there.
like when you look at in reality, especially the games they've played well, they have played against the worst offensive lines in the league, or some of the
Yeah.
worst. Like the Bengals might not be the worst, but
No,
they're
but
pretty bad.
They're not
The
top
Giants
15.
had just lost Andrew Thomas and were already a
Disaster, yeah.
disaster. The Browns probably the worst line, one of the worst lines in the league. Like the Saints, their center goes out the second, third play of the game, whatever that was. Like you can point to all of the defensive line. Whenever the defensive line has gotten pressure, you can point to an offensive line that is A, banged up, and B, bad.
Yeah.
So I think we might not be giving enough concern to the pressures. Like I think at the end of the day, if you ask me why will this team not win the Super Bowl? My first answer is the pass rush.
That's where I'm at. Yeah. I agree. And I'm back in, but like the pass rush is the one thing that has not swayed me despite good results. Like you could argue Jalen and the wins overall have been against, not great opponents like we just did.
No, but again,
I'm
yeah.
convinced.
And
Like
they've also looked awesome. Like,
the
again,
defensive line.
The pass rush, the defensive line had 2 games where they looked awesome. And they were fine in the Bengals game. They looked great against the Saints, and that was basically Jalen Carter dominating the football game. And they looked great against the Giants, which is the worst offensive line and quarterback you're gonna face.
Let me throw a name by you. And credit to Zach Berman of PHLY. We were talking about it at practice yesterday. Harold Landry from the Titans.
Sure.
So he's 28. He has 4 sacks this year and 7
He's
games.
had some good years, though.
He had 10.5 sacks last year. He didn't play in 2022 at all, but he had 12 sacks the year before. So he's basically on pace for 3 double-digit sacks 3 years in a row, if you include this year. I think this is the last year on his deal, or maybe he has one more year at a manageable rate. He's someone I think makes sense. Like
makes a ton of
high
sense.
ceiling, like not probably going to cost a ton. The Titans are definitely
I
sellers.
think it's like a third.
Yeah, I was thinking like a 5th or a 4th.
I don't know. Pass rushers always seem to go for more than you expect them to.
Well, we just talked about what.
There's a offensive lineman went.
No, Josh Uche or whatever his name.
Yeah, but he's not as good as Landry.
He's not as good as Landry, but he went for
5th.
essentially nothing.
Yeah, so yeah, maybe you could get it for cheaper. Look,
Yeah.
go
I don't
trade
think
for a
it's a-
pass rusher.
Yeah,
Go
that's still
just
the
do
move
it.
I would
Just do it.
Yep.
I
agree.
think honestly, like, I think he has to. Like that's what I'm at. Like
And
I think Howie has to trade for a pass rusher.
And I'm sure he wants to.
Of course,
Well, here's a question. Like, do you think the last 3 weeks have changed what Howie's willing to pay?
probably. I mean, at least a little bit.
Yeah.
Like at 2-2, and we know how the fan base felt, but even in the building, no matter how much they believe in,
Yeah, they were certainly like,
they have to be like, this could go bad. Like
Yeah.
this is not looked awesome. Like you have to at least, and if nothing else, in Howie's job, whatever he believes, he has to prepare for eventualities, and he has to, be ready if things go. Like none of them probably thought that they were going to fall apart last year. I don't
Right.
think that, but that you have to be prepared for that type of eventuality. My guess is the way they played the last few weeks, that I absolutely think Howie's gone up around or whatever in terms of
and
values.
they have a lot of draft picks. They have a young roster. Like, I think they are set up to make a trade if they want to make a trade. I have one more Eagles.
I mean,
thought.
look, the fact that it looks like they just freaking aced their top 2 picks in the last
Yes.
draft.
Yeah.
And that gives you some leeway. you
And
know?
look, Nolan's turning around. Like
Mhm.
Jalen Carter's certainly a serviceable player.
Certainly a good-
Jordan
yeah.
Davis,
not great.
not as
Not
well.
great, not
But
great.
Moro, like, I don't buy into this logic, but Moro Ojamo as a 7th round pick has been an awesome pick. Like, he's very good. So
Sure.
you could certainly argue like they came out of that draft with a defensive tackle.
Yeah.
It's just not
I'm
the
just gonna
the
argue.
way you wanted it to
I'm just
go.
gonna argue they got AJ Brown that draft. And that's
Yeah.
all.
Well, that's the other thing too, where it's like they've traded first round picks twice that I can remember, and it was Jason Peters and AJ Brown. So like
that's a really good point.
So like just pay a premium price
he
for a
will,
premium
but
player.
to your point though, I think it's got to be
It's got to be Myles Garrett or Max Crosby.
Yes,
Like
exactly.
that's it.
And
Those
I
are
don't.
Let's hear someone.
If I had to bet, I would bet neither gets traded.
It doesn't seem like Max Crosby.
Oh, I think Garrett's more likely to trade than Crosby.
Yeah.
I mean, like he's like, I'm not leaving. Like, you know,
Right,
and the
owner
owner
said
was
he's
like, I'm
not-
not trading him. Now, to be fair, we have seen that before. I mean, you know, we all remember Dave Dombrowski coming out and saying that Ben Brown and Logan O'Hoppe were literally untouchable. And
Who
then
could forget?
trading them the next
Who could
day.
forget?
You know, we've seen that. I mean, Howie, like
Right.
fingers on his hand. You know,
Yeah.
we know how that works. But I get the feeling just because it is such a, like, you just, honestly, you don't see those type of players get traded often, ever.
Especially at the
really,
deadline.
Especially at the deadline.
All right. So last thing before we do our final
Yes.
thoughts. I want you to like picture this and tell me how vividly you can picture it once I just
Should I close my eyes?
You like.
I mean,
So
you're a big
all right,
close your eyes to envision guy.
I'm not really.
No,
No.
I thought we had that conversation.
Nah, it must have been maybe. I very rarely close my eyes. to
I don't
envision
really close
something.
my eyes either.
Yeah.
But I will for you if you want me
Two
to.
eyes open at all times. All right,
Okay,
so
eyes are closed.
it's before the playoff game.
Okay.
It's like a winter morning. Wake
Okay.
up, it's a football day.
Uh-huh.
You turn on whatever online, Twitter, whatever,
Uh-huh.
and an article is out.
Go Birds. Listen to Go Birds.
Yeah,
man.
and an article is out, and it's like how the bye week saved the Eagles season,
Uh-huh.
and it's like Nick and Jalen met, and they squashed their differences, and AJ like that bye week is
Oh,
going
yeah.
to be the turning point.
Everyone,
of this
yeah.
season.
You are not.
And-
You are not the first person. To
Well,
say
no,
this.
I don't know the details of what happened. I would love to get them. I'll try, but like I can't wait to hear what happened
Yeah.
because it is so obvious something happened in that bye week. Whether it is Jalen conceding something, Nick conceding something, whether
Nick
somebody
conceded
making
his
them
hair.
sit down. Well, yeah, he did. You know what's funny? When I asked him, I was like, "You gonna keep, shaving your head bald?" And he's like, "Well, I buzzed it." It's
Yeah.
like, all right,
But he's like big difference. I'm
we
like,
get
really?
it. Like, it's
Yeah.
not that big of a difference.
Yeah, we
like, I
get
get
it.
your literal point that you're not bald, but like,
Yeah.
it's pretty close.
Yeah.
I'm just saying the story, if they continue to win and they have like a deep playoff run, the story of what happened
Oh, it's
on the bye
absolutely-
week
oh,
is
of
going
course.
to be
It's gonna be
Epic.
hotly. Yeah.
yes.
I mean, I that's been a pretty common things about like the bye week that saved the season.
Yeah, like I just, I can picture the lead of the story. Like, Sirianni was sitting in his office with the entire city outside the NovaCare, like, pitchforking, whatever. Like Jalen walks in, the two sat down. And I can feel the story coming already. And I guarantee, like, I can't wait.
Go get the story.
I'll try, but I probably won't. So I'm excited to see who does. We'll see what Jake Laser has to say about
I
it.
know, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Schefter's really gonna tell.
Yeah,
that story
exactly. I can't
beautifully.
wait to hear about it. Yeah.
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 All right, let's get the final thoughts.
Okay. Sorry, I was mid sip of my
did the
hot
second
coffee
one,
with
yeah.
2 cups, by the way, double cup.
Double cups.
Man, I have so many. All right. Do you want? No. All right. I think I want to go with this one. Okay. We have gotten too complicated with elevators. Like every hotel I'm at
What?
now. Every hotel I'm at now. Like you put your key in the elevator thing, and then you like have to hit what floor you're on, and then it's like
So this is just a hotel thing now. So
No,
you're saying
well-
hotel elevators because you don't have.
I
to,
think this
here
is-
you
well,
just
yeah.
press a button.
be
And,
careful. It is trending this way. I think the days of up and down button for elevators are gone. Like in 10 years, we'll be like telling young people, like, well, it used to be you just hit which direction you were going. Now it's like you put the thing on and it's like, okay, go to like cart D and you go over there and then you have to tell them like what floor you're going to. And then you like, I'm just letting you know, elevators getting too complicated.
okay.
Every
I
hotel
have
I'm
not
at now,
encountered
it's
this
not
yet.
as it's not like you just go and hit up. It's like,
Well,
you
I
have to-
think in hotels you always have to use the key. It's so that people.
it's a
who are-
security thing. I get
Yes,
that.
yes.
But it used to just
saying
be
in-
in the elevator.
in hotels though, but I'm saying in every other building you walk into, you don't do this. Like in
Yeah.
our building.
That's the point I'm making.
All right,
It is a
disagree.
slippery slope.
I think that's going to cost a lot of money to retro all those elevators.
Well, they're going to have to replace elevators eventually. And when they do, dude, I'm just letting you know, in 15 years when we're doing a final thought and you go,
Okay, mark it
the
down.
elevator at the like,
Mark-
you are going to hate
Tucker,
these.
mark it down.
You are going to hate these
15
elevators.
years from now, we're going to find out who's right.
It's like, who asked for
Oh, I
this?
definitely hate it.
What
but
was
I just don't think
broken-
It's going to become
What was broken
ubiquitous.
with the system of pressing up, getting in, and pressing the floor? Like,
Well, I
what
think
what
that
needed
hotels
corrected
is
there?
that people were going up to hotel rooms.
But you
that were
could, but I'm fine with once you're in the elevator having to like put your card there to allow it to move. I'm
Uh-huh.
fine. I get that
Yeah.
security, but like I don't get why we need a touch screen outside of the elevators where you like
I
put your
haven't
card.
encountered this yet.
It's at like I don't want to say the name of the place, but like it's at a place I'm just letting you know it's coming.
Okay.
Just putting it out there.
Okay.
I know I sound like an old crazy man on the lawn, like, watch out. Like, but elevators, we are on a slippery slope of losing elevators.
Okay.
And something needs to be done
Okay.
because it is out of control and it's
Okay.
way too complicated. And maybe once I learn how to do it, it won't feel as complicated. But it is. I get to my hotel at like midnight. I'm ready to go upstairs, and it's like, guess who? Of like figuring out how to get this thing to go. I feel like I'm, what's his name, like MacGruber or whatever, like doing the
MacGyver.
doing the little thing.
MacGruber.
Well, isn't MacGruber like
MacGruber is the Will Forte,
the more popular,
the SNL bit.
Yeah,
probably not the more popular. I doubt it.
It was
maybe
into
for
my head
you.
first, yeah.
On it, I mean, when MacGyver was on, there were like 20 million people watching it each week. So probably
I'm
not.
just letting you know. It's a word of warning to everybody.
Okay.
We are losing elevators.
Okay, thank you. This is good. I'll take your word for it, I guess.
Well, it's not just, it's a warning.
That's good.
Yeah.
All right, here's an Elliot thought. And just in the sense of like, I don't know why I thought to think of this, but it seems like the kind of thing that you would ask me, like have you ever thought about this?
All right, I'm excited.
Okay, it's because I asked Emily about it. We got into a conversation. So I'm talking in terms of like,
oh man, I just remembered I have a good one for you. I'll ask you after this.
Okay.
It's really quick.
Okay. Like numbers that are decades. So like the 20s, the 30s, the 40s, the 50s, the 60s. No, hold on. There's not. Which number in each of those sets do you think you see the most in life? So it basically with the 20s,
like
the 20s. No, yeah. Ultimately, overall, I'm wondering, but we got into just the 20s and got into a discussion. I was like, oh, it's probably 24 because it's 24/7, 24 hours. She's like, no, it's 25 because of a quarter. And then I was like, oh yeah, and Christmas is 25.
So it's not related.
Like 21, you see a lot because people turn 20.
I get what you're saying.
My point being,
it's not related to a historical year.
No. Nothing to do with years. I was just using it as a way to 20s, 30s, 40s.
So you're essentially asking what the most famous number in the world is. Essentially.
Well, so no, because I think it's one. Like I think I think that one is the number. Like
right.
And
that's not a real
I'm
year.
taking single digits out. I think it's only more interesting
I
when
get what
you
you're
get,
saying.
Yeah. So I think it's probably 25. I think Emily's right. In the 30s, like
well,
not sure. 30
so you're talking about like,
maybe.
So I guess it doesn't matter, but you're essentially saying 1925. Like
no,
like
forget the year.
I know you're forgetting the first two. Like I'm
just saying in the 20s, like not the years, the 20s, 21, the numbers, just the numbers. Forget years. I was just using it as a way to show 20s, 30s, 40s. Like,
okay, yeah.
So I'm not going past. Like I was just saying.
That's what I'm saying. You're asking what the most famous number is.
The most famous number in the 20s, like not just most famous in your lifetime. What number in the 20s do you see the most? You know what I mean?
Well, let me ask you this one more clarification.
And then in the 30s, when I
so you're not comparing a number
like in the 60s, it's probably 69, right? It's got to be, you know?
Amen. But so wait, wait. So you're saying you're saying like you're not comparing the 20s and the 30s. You're comparing the 20s and then also doing it.
I'm
for
doing
the 30s
it individually for each, and then
so it's not a comparison.
Get to an overall, if I wanted to.
All right, so I think 25.
I think so too.
I
agree.
I think
right about that.
It's a great sports number. It's a quarter.
Christmas,
I just think you see it a lot.
Yeah, I think it's 25. It's a quarter. Like it's
13. Oh, I guess you're not doing ones.
Not doing ones.
Right.
But yeah, that's an interesting one because 13 would be.
I mean, 99.
I think for the 90s, 99 is the clear winner.
So I think the most famous year. Well, no, this isn't what
you're
talking about.
But you know what's funny is I thought about that with years too. Then it went into like in the 2020s, like. You never know what's going to happen the next few years, but I'm going to guess 2020 is the most famous year of the 20s, right?
Yeah.
Because the pandemic. Like, we're all going to remember 2020 was the year.
2000 and 2001.
Of the 20s. Of the 2020s.
Okay, right.
I'm saying no matter.
I'm thinking of
I know. Yeah, 2000 of years all time. 2000's up there. Like,
yeah, right.
You know, like that 1945, the end of World War II. How big is that?
Yeah.
They're
those are different
things.
discussions. I get your point.
This is really.
So I do think 25 is off the top of my head. I would go 20. So like this is probably not
like
the
50
best
is probably over.
So I think it's like this sounds simple, but I really do kind of think
25,
it's like 25, 50, 75.
Yeah.
Like, I just think the 5 at the end is such a strong, like you see it so much.
It's also the money thing that makes
right, exactly. But that's part of it because you were talking about.
Of course, it's part of it. That's the whole point. Yeah, but then there's a $20 bill. There's a $10. There's a 20 actually is up there too. So anyway, this is
it's an interesting one.
It's a dumb one.
Well, what's interesting about
really
it is there's so many different rules and machinations that it's hard to. All right, so we're debating this in the media house yesterday. Would you call Jake Elliott, Rick Lovato, and Brandon Mann starters?
Braden,
whatever.
He's the best punter we've had since Donnie Jones. Don't besmirch his name.
I couldn't remember who the punter was in the Super Bowl.
Donnie Jones.
No, in the 2022 Super Bowl.
Oh, in 2020 it was Sav Rocca. Right?
Doesn't
not Sav Rocca.
Dude, I was gonna say
no, you're wrong.
It wasn't Cam Johnson either.
It was not Sav Rocca.
He was
Australian.
Same idea.
It's Australian guy.
Look it up.
No,
Oh,
don't look it up yet. Don't look it up. Don't you
I'll look
dare.
it up. I won't say.
Hold on. It's so Sav Rocco was the one before. It's the
Right,
same
but that's
guy.
what I was thinking.
Yeah. Oh my god.
And
Hated him. I came on
right,
this
everyone was
pod
really
and
mad about him.
crushed him all the time.
He was Australian.
I got it.
Yeah.
And we're
Is
wrapping
his
up
last
here.
name start with an S?
It does.
Yes. Just tell me.
Oh, it's Aaron Siposs.
Yes.
Siposs.
There it is.
is.
Because I
Yeah.
could never spell it. So
So
here's
the point is, don't rip Braden. Man, I love that guy.
no, it's not. No,
I came on this pod every week being like, can we just sign a punter? How
Well,
we spend
here's
all
the
this-
funniest thing. I'm defending him.
Good, I love him. Yeah.
So Rube was saying to me, who do you think are the two players that have played in every game among the starters over the last 2 years? And it was like Jalen Carter and Jalen. No, it was started every game since the beginning of 2023. And it was Jalen Hurts and Jordan Davis is what it was. And I was like, well, what about Jake Elliott?
Which is a great point.
And he's like, well, he's not a starter. And I'm like, Jake Elliott is absolutely a starter.
So it's, I don't know. I get his point. Like,
I get his point that it shouldn't count for that. But
yeah, it shouldn't
Jake
have
Elliott
that,
is
but I
without
agree.
question a
Yeah,
starter.
I think he's a starter, I guess.
Yeah,
He's
like-
the starting kicker.
He is the starting kicker. Like, and so then their argument was like, is Tristan McCullum a starter on special teams?
That's a good argument.
But to my point is like, yes, he is a special team starter.
Yeah, but that's not how we talk about it. You know what I mean?
So I think Jake Elliott's a level above the Tristan McCullum thing.
But he's a level below the
yeah,
22
right. Like I think
starters
like
on
we're
offense.
we're definitely mincing.
Yes, I
Right.
agree.
But
I
Jake Elliott is a starter.
I-
Like he
I think
he
so.
counts as a like
think
if
your
they
starting kicker.
if they miss Jake Elliott for 5 games, I think we would look and go like they've been a healthy team, but they did miss like Jordan Mailata, Jake Elliott. Like I think we would count him as a key part of the team.
Sure.
Thank you. That's
I'm
all.
not-
They were like he's not a starter. Like
Never
Pro
gonna rip
Football
Jake
Reference.
Elliott.
I'm just saying
It's
he's
a weird one. I get their argument, and I'm not saying I would have like fought them on it.
right, but I think he's a starter.
Sure, let's give him star status.
He is. I think.
Sure.
Yeah. Thank you.
I mean, yeah, why not?
All right.
All right. This is good. Friday pod.
Oh yeah, I didn't think about
Parks
that.
Picks pod.
Yep.
We gotta do it Friday.
Dude, by the way,
Yep.
you know we're tied.
You've been amazing.
I've been
Catching back up.
unreal this year.
Now technically,
You know what it must be? I'm putting no thought into
Yeah.
it.
Now technically, I did go 10-5 the first week. That didn't
know,
count.
yeah.
So technically, I'm
Well, but the percentage might be the. I'd be curious to know.
I'm still ahead of you in terms of I've won more games this year.
Correct. But you've also picked more games. But yeah, I don't know if you knew this,
That was
but
the
week
joke.
1 I
That
picked
was
him
the joke.
privately, and I went 11-4.
I did it on the podcast. My picks are public.
Yeah. Unless you're calling me a liar, I don't know what to
I'm
say.
calling you a liar.
All right,
Yeah,
fair, 'cause
you
I didn't do it.
No, you've been amazing. Dude. We both been kicking
It's
ass.
unreal.
We're both like
So
20,
close to the
20 games
parlay,
over
so-
500. Yeah, by the way, not like we won the Lions one easily going away.
Yeah.
And then the other two was a 4.5 and a 5.5. In both those games, they won by 3. Like we just got
But
screwed.
you know what's crazy? If you
We
look
were
at
right.
our
If we had done money lines, we would have won.
if you look at our parlays this year, we must be like 85%.
We're kicking ass,
Yeah.
man. Kicking ass. All right, we'll be back on Friday. Parks Picks Pod. Until then, he's Elliot.